Welcome, everyone. So we have a few questions to get us started. How many of you here are using Google Cloud? Yeah, okay, just making sure you're awake, all right? Okay, no, but seriously, show of hands, how many of you are using VMware products? vSphere, NSX? Awesome, yes, I see a lot of hands, perfect. And how many of you would like to move your VMware workloads to the cloud or are working on that? Yep, I still see a bunch of hands. And wouldn't you like that to be as easy as possible? I'm sure you would. So we are here to share 10 innovations that we love about Google Cloud VMware Engine, and they can help you with your cloud success. So let's get started. I'm Cheryl Young. I'm in product marketing at VMware, and I live in the Bay Area here, so welcome to our town. I like to go on hikes with my dogs, and I like to visit the nearby beaches. You can see I've got 2 dogs. During COVID, yes, we were fostering puppies, and of course we had to keep one. So we have a little COVID puppy, we call her. And so I think, Mike, you've seen them on Zoom, probably.
I have.
And here in San Francisco, when we do come to the city, I like to see some of the shows. Let's see, I saw a chorus line a few months ago, great show. So do enjoy that if you stay in the city a few days. And Mike?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Fink. I've been with VMware for about 5 years, similar to Cheryl, and I'm located in Gaffney, South Carolina. Any House of Cards folks? Anyone see that show? Yeah. It's actually a city, and it's kind of like they portrayed it in a movie or the show, believe it or not. Like Cheryl, I have quite a few pets, enjoy hiking, and really looking forward to getting started.
Sounds good. So let's dive in, what you're here for. We are going to cover a brief overview of Google Cloud VMware Engine, or you may hear us call it GCVE. And we will also then get to the 10 innovations that we want to cover. We'll give you a few takeaways, some resources where you can learn more, and we'll point you to a couple of other sessions. So let's dive right in. All right, Google Cloud VMware Engine, or GCVE. What is this service? So it's bringing you VMware's enterprise-grade SDDC. That's vSphere, vSAN, NSX, HCX, all of these, bringing them to you on the Google platform. And so what's great is you can consistently run your workloads, whether they're going to be on-prem or in Google Cloud or in your hybrid cloud. And so you can leverage it across all of these clouds. You can run those production workloads, and you can also connect them to other Google native services. So you'll see on the right of the diagram all of these other Google services like BigQuery, and you're able to connect with a low latency direct connection to those services from GCVE. We'll talk a little bit about that more. And also on the top of the diagram, you see a bunch of VMware applications as well. So it also integrates with all of these other VMware solutions, like Horizon for VDI, like Site Recovery Manager for DR, ARIA, which was vRealize for your cloud management. So a lot of other tools plug right in, and you can leverage them, that whole solution. The service is sold by Google and Google partners. It's also sold by VMware and VMware partners through the VMware Cloud Universal program. And it is considered a native Google Cloud service. You will find it right there in the console with all the other Google Cloud services. And it's available on demand or in 1-year and 3-year subscriptions, so giving you a lot of flexibility there. And as you consume the service, it can burn down against your overall Google Cloud commitment. It's got great potential, right?
Particularly if you have a huge Google Cloud commitment.
Exactly. All right, so where is it available? It's available all around the globe. It's in 18 regions now and expanding all the time. And you'll also see that it's in several zones. They have in several regions, they have additional zones. These little asterisks here. So Frankfurt, London, Sydney, Virginia. They have additional zones in those regions to provide additional availability for your needs. Let's get into the top use cases. So I want to share with you how our customers are using Google Cloud VMware Engine. So first off, cloud migration. Of course, this is a big reason people are adopting the cloud. They want to move to the cloud. They want to get out of the data center business. They don't want that burden of having to manage the infrastructure. And so they want to go to the cloud and leverage the flexibility of the cloud. Data center extension. You may have a need where you're just running out of capacity in your on-prem data center, right? And you need to get capacity fast. So you can do that with a data center extension use case, leveraging the cloud for that additional capacity. Or maybe you set up labs for people to do training, and you want to stand up those labs and tear them down. Stand them up and tear them down. It's a great way to leverage the cloud to do that as well. Disaster recovery. Now that's a really natural fit for the cloud. You don't want to have to build an on-prem replica of your on-prem site in another on-prem site, right? So you can leverage the cloud to give you that disaster recovery. In fact, a customer I want to share, ADT, a leading security solution provider. They are leveraging GCVE for their DR environment, and they were able to accelerate their disaster recovery cutover times by like 95%, I think it was. And they went from 5 hours down to 15 minutes. So amazing amount of effort was saved, and it just lets them be much more agile. The next use case, app modernization. So we know you want to leverage modernizing things, right? You want to modernize your infrastructure, you want to modernize your applications, and Google Cloud and VMware allow multiple ways for you to do that. One of the ways is by running VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid on GCVE, and that lets you run both your VMs and containers on the same infrastructure. And there are also lots more possibilities to modernize, connecting to native services, and we'll touch on that as well. And then last, VDI, your virtual desktop infrastructure. So many customers are trying to leverage the ability to work from anywhere, right? And deliver to their customers from anywhere. And so a VDI use case leveraging GCVE is perfect for that. This is actually another benefit that ADT, the security solution provider, experienced. They were able to scale up their VDI environment in just 10 days to support, get this, 20,000 employees remotely during the pandemic. So it's a great way to get things moving quickly by leveraging GCVE in the cloud.
Sir.
All right, we're going to cover, this is what you're here for, right? We're going to cover 10 innovations. We've selected them, we love them, and the order we're going to share them with you is in the order you're going to encounter them in your cloud journey, okay? So that's how we'll travel through the cloud journey here. All right, innovation number 10. Here's our countdown. This is VMware Cloud Universal. Now, why did we choose this as one of the innovations? This is something we love. VMware Cloud Universal is how you can get the service through VMware, and it is a way to have financial flexibility. Okay, so one of the benefits is that you get the cloud acceleration benefit. So that means you can leverage things you've already invested in on-prem. You can leverage that investment and get financial money back, benefit, by going through VMware Cloud Universal. So it's a great financial benefit. That's not the only financial benefit. Also, because you can subscribe to the solution in 1 year and 3 year subscriptions rather than just being on demand, you have a way to get a better financial benefit there as well. So lots of different ways that this helps you. And because you can move your workloads so rapidly to the cloud through this program, you don't have to refactor. So again, it's all a win-win. You're getting a better TCO, you're getting a better financial flexibility. So that's our innovation number 10. What is next?
Let's start talking about some of the tools that are available to help you guys make the migration. So, believe it or not, as a VMware employee, I'm going to tell you the world does not start and end with VMware. GCVE is a very full-featured VMware stack, but there's a large catalog of integrated third-party solutions that are available to add on and extend that. So you see some of the tools called out here, HCX, SRM, Carbon Black, some third-party solutions like Zerto and Veeam. These are all integrated directly with GCVE, and it allows you as a potential customer choice to pick the right migration, the right DR, the right security tools for your particular application and your needs. With the exception of HCX, which we're going to dig into on our next innovation, these are all options in GCVE. So you're not paying for them if you don't need them, and you're selecting which tools are right for your particular application. Also, just a note, this list is not exhaustive. There's a lot of applications and solutions that are available inside the Google catalog that integrate directly with GCVE. We just wanted to call out some here. But additional security, container solutions, networking solutions. As you start to go through the Google catalog, you'll find that the list is extremely broad and very deep, allowing GCVE to service most customers without the need to bring in any third parties or external solutions that you have to integrate yourself. So now we're going to talk about how we can extend the on-prem data center easily, and this is where we're going to go in a little more depth on HCX. Just want to make sure my slide's building out. So we're going to dig in a little more depth here. So HCX is included by default with every GCVE install and allows you to easily pick up and migrate workloads from on-prem to a variety of both internal and external VMware-based solutions. In effect, HCX allows your environment to float. It can float over your on-prem, GCVE, potentially other third-party cloud providers, and move the virtual machines and the workloads between those environments pretty much as you see fit as an administrator. Position the right workload in the right cloud at the right time, and do that with no downtime or reconfiguration to the VM. That's basically the promise that HCX brings and what most of our customers are leveraging today to do their migrations up to, into, and out of GCVE. So a lot of customers are taking advantage of this to do their migrations, and we're seeing customers who are moving hundreds of VMs per week. We actually have a couple of different case studies. Cheryl can share some with us. But moving hundreds of VMs per week. And if we compare that to what it takes to refactor, we're just in it's dramatically different, right? So we can pick up and move these VMs very quickly and easily without that refactoring that's typically associated with a move to a cloud provider. And Cheryl, I think we do have one that we wanted to talk about here.
Sure, I'll throw out another example. So Carrefour, a leading retailer, they leverage HCX to move their workloads to GCVE. And so they were able to do that very rapidly, just within minutes. They could move a bunch of workloads. And this way there was no disruption for their customers or for their employees, which is really key. HCX makes it that easy.
One ping. That's what we lose, one ping. When we do an HCX migration, just putting a very fine point on it, we lose one ping. The VM doesn't go down, there's no reboot, we just move it straight from wherever it is into the GCVE environment. So as you're going through this process, you're bringing up these migrated VMs. Wouldn't it be nice if the environment could scale alongside this, right? So you start out today, maybe we bring up a 3-node cluster. As we start to migrate VMs in, and we're doing that extremely rapidly, it'd be nice if the admins didn't have to watch and go through the process of scaling that infrastructure. That's exactly what this innovation is talking about. So auto-scaling gives us that, we can basically set triggers inside of the environment and say, at a particular CPU level, at a particular RAM consumption, particular amount of storage consumed, scale the environment, bring new nodes in, and do all of that automatically. This does work in both directions, so we can scale up or scale down automatically as we're bringing workloads into or moving them out of GCVE. This is really impactful for a migration, because effectively what we do is we put the environment on autopilot. We build it out, we set those metrics that I talked about a moment ago, and we then start doing the migrations, and the environment on the Google side, it just handles it. It continues to scale as you continue to migrate. Make sure you're making the best use of your assets and you're not over provisioning for where you'd like to be in a month or 6 months. You're provisioning correctly today, letting the auto scaling taking advantage of that functionality and that flexibility going forward.
So let's see, we're up to innovation number 7 here, Mike. Let's talk about that differentiated networking and security, a key reason people want to go to Google Cloud.
Any network admins, ex-network admins in the room? I'll raise my hand. I was one. If you're trying to figure out if a network's operating well, what's one of the first things you do? Well, first thing I'm going to do is ping 4222, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ping google.com. The reason I'm going to ping Google is because Google is extremely low latency. If we just pick random websites and we start looking for them, google.com is generally going to be one of the lowest that's available out there. So what we're trying to do here and what Google brings to the market is GCVE rides on exactly that same network, the same network that delivers Google Search and Gmail and all the other services that you guys use, love, and experience that low latency connection. You leverage that same network to deliver GCVE. So one of the use cases where this becomes extremely impactful, and Cheryl already touched on a little bit, is when we're talking about VDI. So VDI is extremely latency sensitive. The closer we can get that to the end user, the lower we can get that ping time, the better their experience is going to be. By riding on that Google network, and that you can actually see it called out there, the private global network that Google has built, we're going to be able to deliver ping times that are potentially the lowest, certainly in the lower half of what's available in the market today when we're looking at cloud service providers. Finally, one thing that's not shown here, but I'll call out very quickly, we actually have a whole presentation where we go in this. Google does enable multi-VPC technology inside of GCVE. Again, it's kind of a in-depth topic, but effectively what it means is if you have multiple departments and you want to share those resources across the departments, GCVE makes that very effective and cost-effective for you, so you don't have to deploy entire clusters to service different departments inside of your environment.
Let's also hit on some of the certifications. So VMware and Google Cloud continue to add more and more industry certifications so you can meet your stringent compliance needs. And it's not just in certain regions, so it's global. And so you can see like in the Americas, HIPAA is a big one. In Europe, GDPR, and they're hitting many important certifications around the world and adding to it constantly.
This is the slide that drives our marketing department crazy because it seems to change like every 2 weeks. So as Cheryl said, this list continually updating, and Google continues to add more and more certifications globally as we go forward. Okay, so let's talk about integrating into some of the Google native services. And I'm going to keep with the theme here of the world not starting and ending with VMware. Many of our customers are making use of the extensive catalog of services that are available in Google Cloud. AI/ML, Google Container Platforms, Google Compute Engine, BigQuery, some of the AI things that we heard about in the keynotes today. All of these services are available for direct integration into your GCVE environment via a private, low latency connection. And this is particularly applicable when we're dealing with something like AI or ML. We're doing huge data ingestions, right? We have a tremendous amount of data, potentially in a relational database. We need to move all that data into an AI/ML platform. Could be hundreds of terabytes of data that we're moving back and forth. That extremely low latency, high speed connection makes that very valuable and very easy for customers to get that data over there. And now kind of back into my more corporate sanction messaging, Google also has a catalog that Cheryl touched on a little bit of VMware services and solutions that can be added on top of GCVE. Horizon, or our VDI platform, which we've already mentioned, but also ARIA, NSX Load Balancer, you guys may know that as AVI, our SD-WAN solution, SRM. The catalog is extremely extensive for the add-on services that can be stacked around GCVE. Also, it's worth mentioning those VMware solutions are jointly validated and supported by both VMware and Google, right? So we launched them jointly with Google, and we stand behind them as both companies to resolve any issues that you guys may have. And I think we're going to talk about Carrefour.
Yeah, so Carrefour, the retailer, they not only do they move their workloads to GCVE, they tied it into native services like BigQuery and other AI, and they were able to provide a personalized shopping experience for customers. So they're really taking advantage of that direct connection that you get from GCVE to the Google native services. I think Google also announced something new in the AI space here.
They did. So I don't know if you guys saw, but Google announced Chat Assistive AI that integrates with some of the VMware capabilities that we have surfaced in GCVE. So things like asking Chat to tell you what's making this particular cluster hot, or what workloads have the wrong version of VMware tools. You know, another way to interact with, particularly as we scale beyond what a single virtual center can look at or what some of our management tools, could be very impactful for customers and make it more natural to interact with and maintain your VMware environment.
Yeah, so they announced that's in the works for GCVE administrators to be able to take advantage of down the road. Yep.
They did.
All right, innovation number 5. So Google managed patching, hardware updates. So what's great about this service? So we're providing VMware as a service on the Google platform, and Google's going to take care of all the updates, the patching, the hardware. So you can get out of that managing the infrastructure burden. You can get rid of that. And we've had customers say, "Great, now I can focus my people on more value add." Capabilities and features. Another thing to note is that Google's providing a dedicated cluster design. So you're not having to share your compute or your RAM with others. You are getting that dedicated for your instance of GCVE. And also you can use your standard VMware tools to manage all of that. And there's something new here too. Oh, well, also Google is providing this at a 99.99 SLA in a single region. So we've got a great SLA there. But they have announced something new. So the nodes we have right now are called VE1, and they're announcing a preview of VE2.
I just love the product naming. That we had VE1s, now we have VE2s. That seems to make a lot of sense to me. Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't heard about this, the existing node that we have today, 36 cores, 768 gigs of RAM. The VE2 nodes are roughly 3 times the size. So we're at 2 terabytes of RAM, 72 cores, and various storage sizes. So it's going to allow customers to size the node a little bit more appropriately to the workload that they're running. Net result, bringing down your cost. Also, it's going to allow us to service the very large workloads. So HANA databases, any type of in-memory databases, very large workloads, we can now service them inside of GCVE using these new node types.
Fantastic.
Okay, and we've kind of touched on this one a little bit, but the consistent management experience. So one more time, this will be the last, I promise. Anyone know how to use vSphere Web Interface? NSX Manager? Couple hands? Okay, good, because those are exactly the same tools you use in GCVE. So it's same interfaces, same commands, same functionality that you have today on-prem, and there's no relearning necessary to make that transition from what you're doing on-prem into your GCVE environment. But there's a lot more here, right? So it's not just those tools. As you can see called out, Google extends what you can do with the VMware management tools. So maybe we want to do something like deploy an entire, we would call a physical network, deploy that network programmatically, deploy hosts programmatically, a new VMware cluster in a new region, maybe we're going to use Terraform or Google's APIs to do so. A full complement of options are available. So we can use things like Power CLI, vSphere Web Client, NSX Manager, whatever you guys are familiar with and using today, we can do that in Google, but we can also extend it by the commands that Google has available via the G Cloud API. All this allows for repeatable results, so we can do everything soup to nuts programmatically, which gives us faster deployments and lets our customers leverage the existing skills that they have today with their VMware. Okay, so this is a quick one, privilege escalation. What this is basically talking about, if you remember back, I was talking about integrating third-party solutions into your GCV environment. Maybe you're using something like Veeam or Zerto or some other VMware-specific tool today. What privilege escalation is designed to do is it allows you to escalate your privileges basically to admin at vSphere.local. It's not exactly, but let's just call it similar to admin at vSphere.local, to integrate third-party solutions into your environment. Again, really the message here is the flexibility that this offers to you as an end customer to use the tools you're familiar with using today inside of your data centers and extend into the GCVE environment.
Oh, we're getting close. Innovation number 2.
We are close. And this is going to be my last one before I turn it back to Cheryl. And this is a relatively new announcement, but you've probably heard about it. There's a tremendous amount of storage options that are available for customers inside of GCVE. So maybe you have a huge infrequently accessed data warehouse. So maybe we want to put them on lower performance, lower cost storage, something like Google File Store. High performance VMs that might have low latency requirements, vSAN is included in every GCVE environment. So maybe we also need to encrypt at the storage layer. So Google KMS, which can integrate directly into vSAN and make sure that we have private keys that even Google, VMware, nobody except the admins inside of your company have access to. Also, we have Google Cloud Storage. So less frequently accessed data could be very interesting. and services inside the cloud marketplace that can leverage that cloud storage, including very recently announced some of the Google integrations via Protect to do things like backup and put them on Google Cloud Storage. Again, reducing your ROI, reducing the amount of things that you have to manage as an admin. And then finally, NetApp Cloud Volumes, which now offered inside of GCVE and is available as both a VMFS data store and for guest VMs. This allows you to scale your GCVE environment storage that your VMs are actually using and scale that independently of your GCVE environment. Again, reduces the TCO, reduces your ROI over time.
And Google also made another announcement here. So they've announced storage-only nodes are coming as well.
What's a storage-only node, Cheryl?
So they're letting you not have to purchase you don't have to pay for CPU, all these things, RAM. You can just get the storage that you need.
So it's still vSAN. Effectively, what we do with a storage-only node is we say the CPU and RAM of that node is not available. All the storage is available. It reduces the cost by some percent. It's significant, and allows you to scale vSAN kind of like how you would scale external storage. Still getting that private access and the latency benefits that are associated with vSAN storage. So pretty neat and certainly a great option for some customers. I think we might have another one here.
What?
I think we might have another one. Another announcement.
Could be.
So you guys may have heard, I did mention NetApp CVS, NetApp Cloud Volume Service. That is becoming it's becoming more ingrained in Google mainstream. So you're going to start to see that surface higher up on the catalog. It still is a great option, particularly when you need that external storage capability that's associated with NetApp and need to tie it back to your GCVE instance.
Awesome. All right, I think there's a drum roll now. All right, we are down to innovation number 1 on your cloud journey. So you want to transform, right? VMware and Google Cloud allow you to have many ways that you can not just modernize, but also transform. We realize that refactoring all your applications into containers, that's not really feasible. That's not a good ROI. So we offer some guidance. You may want to look at the ones with the most high impact, right? The ones that maybe on a rolling basis you want to refactor some things to containers. Other ones you want to just move into the cloud, leverage GCVE, and then tie those in directly, having them close to your container-based applications. Some ways to do this is with VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. You can run both your VMs and your containers on the same infrastructure. You can also leverage some of that direct connection to the native Google Cloud services and tie those into your traditional applications. So there's a lot of different options in how you can transform. And that brings us to the end of the innovations.
On this one, I'll just say really quickly, in my role, and Cheryl, and your role as well, I mean, we deal with a large percentage of the customers who are consuming and working with GCVE. And one thing I will say is that many, many customers who are now great GCVE customers started their cloud journey with the idea that I'm just going straight to containers, or I'm going straight to function. I'm done with all these VMs. I'm done with all this Windows, Linux infrastructure. The reality is it's a very difficult operation. So what a lot of customers are doing is they're taking a step back and saying, how can I save a lot of money today? How can I get to the cloud, make things work faster, leverage all that financial benefit today, and then move where I want to move in the future? Maybe that's Tanzu, maybe that's Kubernetes, maybe it's some other native services. So it's become a really big use case for us to kind of come into these Google accounts that are having trouble making the migration and accelerate that migration with some of the technology that we just spoke about today.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. All right, we want to leave you with a few key takeaways. So we've covered the 10 innovations on your cloud journey, and we want to just highlight that you don't have to refactor all of your applications, right, just to move to cloud. That's not what you have to do here. And it's very easy to manage the solution because you're used to those tools already. Same tools you already use with vSphere. And you can save time and money. There's many different ways. We covered a lot of different ways that you can do that, especially with VMware HCX, making the migration very seamless. You can leverage that. And what's underlying everything, the powerful Google Cloud networking and hardware for your business critical applications. Now we want to also share with you some resources. So here's a great slide to take a picture of. It points you to our tech zone, which gives you technical videos and blogs, our product pages. There's webinars over here, GCVE conversation, demos. So there's a whole bunch of materials. Hopefully you can see and get a good picture of that.